Good morning, this is Susan Gannett with Annette Mitchell, and we're going to show you how to combine two subjects for a final painting. And here's Annette.
Okay, well, anyway, what I'm about to show you is just one of the many ways to combine maybe two different subjects that you've had an interest in. And what I'm going to combine is a seashell and a sketch out of my sketchbook that I had done on site down on the Gulf Coast. So basically, the way that I find that it's easiest to visualize a potential future artwork is to either look at something you've drawn in the past in your sketchbook, look at an actual object in your studio space or out on location, or print out a photograph like we had last week of the seashells. And once you find a subject that you're interested in, for me, it's easiest just to pick up some charcoal and sketch the shell from the photograph or from real life, etc., in black, because first of all you can see it, and also I can see it. And at that point you take some of your visualizing paper or tracing paper, and you can get a sheet and put over anything that you are interested in. And an easy way to do it is to take a black Sharpie marker at this point and go around the outline with your marker to get it onto tracing paper, because on tracing paper, if you have 2 or 3 drawings done like this, you can then overlap them and see, like here's several sketches on tracing paper of shells, 3 different ones. Now I can play around with these images on top of something white and think, well, I might like this arrangement, or I know what happens if I do that. And you can think of possible combinations. If you come up with any combination that you like, you can then transfer that combination down onto a new sheet of paper by the process that's the most important process in combining images. And that is to take a piece of I call it transfer paper, because you're transferring a drawing from one place to another. I just took a big sheet of tracing paper and covered the back with plain old pencil marks. It takes a while, but once you've prepared one of these like this, you can keep it in your workspace and at any point pull it out and use it to transfer down any image into a new spot just by putting the pencil mark down onto the paper you want to go to, putting whatever it is you're interested in over the top. And when you take a pencil or a ballpoint pen and draw around on top of the black Sharpie marker line that you made with some pressure, then, I'm not completing it because we're in time frame, you're going to see that drawing that you already had come off onto your new sheet of white. The white can be all-purpose white while you're thinking about it, or it could be some really good quality Arches cover white. But if you transfer down a couple of images, then it's all ready to either paint with watercolors, color with colored pencils, draw in with colored magic markers. use micron pens, sumi ink, any medium that you want. So I was interested in the big shell. So what I decided to do was transfer the big shell onto a piece of good quality Arches Cover White. So I placed it where I thought I wanted it, and all of a sudden an idea came to me that I wanted to try. So what I did in this particular image was take an X-Acto knife, put the tracing paper over a piece of white all-purpose paper, and I took the X-Acto knife and cut out the outline of the shell that I had drawn. I'm cutting right through the tracing paper and the all-purpose white paper. And Glenn will be interested in this because it wound up kind of being a stencil idea, and I probably should have had one cut out, but I don't, so here we go. And our whole idea of preparing paper in the past few weeks came back to me as a source of this new challenge. So let's see if I've got it cut out. I may not. It's about cut out. All right, it's about cut out except for right up at the top. So let's see if I can get this right here. Okay, you can see I'm trying to get the shell out. Okay, now that's what I did to this point. I've got the shell. And if you decided to use that, you could. At this point, I took some acrylic paint. And some of you will laugh when you see, you know, how cluttered my space is. I took some acrylic paint and put it in to a tray. And I took a sponge roller, wet the sponge roller, rolled the sponge roller all in this case it's called parchment color. And I took my piece of white Arches and I started just rolling some of this parchment color on my Arches paper into a format, in this case kind of a rectangle, and just texturizing, or as we had said in the past, it's not a very nice thing, mucking up the surface. And I got one roll there. At this point, I take the shell and I put it right on top, and I get more paint on my roller, and I'm rolling around the edge of this cutout that I had made just a few minutes ago. And when I think I might have enough paint to show up the outline of the seashell, we'll lift it up, and here's the seashell. At that point, I felt like I've got one of my images. What is the second image that I would like to add to the seashell? Well, I looked through what I had in my sketchbooks, and I found this image that I like very much, that I had drawn or sketched, of the beautiful colored houses that are down on the Gulf Coast in Alabama. It's too small. So what I did was go to my photocopy machine and I put this on the photocopier and I blew it up to a size that I thought might go with the seashell. At this point, I can just turn it over, cover the back with black pencil, put it down where I want it on the shell, and when I draw over my former drawing that I have now enlarged to the size that might go with a seashell, when I start drawing over this, it's going to come off on there because of the pencil marks on the back. At that point, I decided to take my micron pens and draw over the line with my micron pen, and then after I had done that, I took more acrylic paint. Here's the shell with the drawing transferred off of here into the middle. Then, looking back at my original image, I took acrylic paint and with a big brush just brushed in the colors of the houses and so forth. And the final thing that I did was take some soft pastel, it's here somewhere, and I added a little soft pastel, maybe to make the seashell outline or silhouette show up just a little bit better. This is just one way to combine. So the most important thing that I could tell you is you can transfer, enlarge, former artwork. You can use a transfer sheet behind anything that you've got sketched out and put it on. And we're going to show you 2 slides that you can use, but you can begin to think. The hardest part of this is figuring out 2 images that you like the idea that they go together.